welcome. My name is My name is Gloria, and I will work with the Equity Fund Grant Program at the Maine Community Foundation. You don't have to take notes through this because we will be sending out the PDF of the PowerPoint presentation, which we'll cycle through. And we're also going to email you a PDF of the application questions to apply to this grant program. So sit back and listen. We'll also have the question and answer function enabled. So throughout, if you have a question, please just type that right in. And Leslie's helping me with this session, and we'll take questions at the end. So welcome. Maine Community Foundation is a statewide foundation. We have over 20 competitive grant programs, and the Equity Fund is over 25 years old here, and it's a wonderful grant program. And we'll go over all the specifics in a moment. So I want to begin our time together with an acknowledgement to honor all Indigenous people, especially the Wabanaki, who came here before us and nurtured the space as stewards of this land, the first people. Okay, so a big program overview is equity is the goal. This fund is to advance LGBTQ+ people and projects and organizations. That is the intent of this fund. The max award is $7,500. The application due date is coming up September 15th. All the application process is online, and I'll go over some screenshots later about that. And I'm really excited that last year we piloted general support grants to this grant program, which really is grant making best practice. And I'll go over a little bit more about that as well in a moment. If you're interested in the Equity Fund, I also want to make sure that you know about our community building grant program, which is the general, it's a statewide grant program that's geographically based. So you would apply either to your county or the statewide fund. So how you get to our grant programs, here's a screenshot of the website. Lots of information on the website, a couple layers deep. But if you click on grants, you see there on the green bar, and then you'll see on the blue bar, which goes below it, is available grants and deadlines. Right there, available grants and deadlines. If you click on that, you'll get a list of the competitive grant programs. And you can click on the Equity Fund will be listed there. I believe they're alphabetical. And you can see all the criteria, priorities, any information about the fund, previous grants that have been given, etc., and the grant statistics. So there's a wealth of information on there for the Equity Grant Program, as well as all the other competitive grant programs. So to give you a sense of what this grant program is like, you know, each of the grant programs here has a different volume, dollar max, etc. To the Equity Fund, we received 11 applications last year with a request of totaling $80,000. In the end, 7 grants were granted for a total of $50,687. A neat aspect of applying to the Maine Community Foundation is that we have a cadre of donors, and by submitting a competitive grant, you are also making your proposal available for donors to look at. So our donors have a website where they can search on geographic area or topic with some of our bigger deadlines. So the September 15th deadline has a bunch of grant programs closing, as does the February 15th, which is the community building. So those 2 deadlines are the most popular for donors to go into their portal and search based on topic and geographic area. So know that if you apply to the foundation, that's how you get in front of our donors. So each grant program at the foundation has its own criteria and priorities that that fund grants to. And that's decided by the fund's advisors. And so the advisors of a fund have some experience or expertise in the topic area of that fund or in the geography. So, you know, if you're in Cumberland County, you'll live in Cumberland County or have experience in Cumberland County. So the criteria of this grant program are that the leadership positions, either in board or staff, those people be LGBTQ+, that LGBTQ+ people be involved in the design, delivery, evaluation of the programs and services, and that most of the participants be LGBTQ+. So that's pretty important to the advisors for sure. So the priority of this fund, so the advisors will give priority to organizations that either their mission or the project proposed increases access to healthcare or reduces health disparities, reduces race-based disparities or barriers to opportunities, reduce violence or harassment, or promote respect or understanding. So if you're an organization that focuses on one of those areas, or if your project focuses on one of those areas, you will be given priority in the review. So each of the grant programs has different types of grants that they allow organizations to apply for. The Equity Fund has 3: capacity building, project grants, and general support grants. So capacity building grants are grants that an organization would apply to improve the overall function of their organization. So it's like how to build nonprofit best practices. So things that people would apply for would be strategic planning for board and staff, or how to best onboard best practices for board members, or how to make you know, an employee handbook, you know, if some of that has never been done, or learning a financial program like QuickBooks, or how to balance books. So often capacity building requests require a consultant with that expertise to come in and help you for a limited amount of time. And with those grants, the advisors would look at the organization's mission and some of their key programming to see if that mission or key program meets the criteria and priorities of the Equity Fund. Project grants are for either new or expanding projects. So new is either the first or second year, and an expanding project would be to either a new geographic area or a new population. And general support grants, which I'm super excited about, new last year, is really best practice for grant making. And we're eager and excited to offer that as an option. So you get to use the money for whatever you want. It's general support for your organization. And what the advisors will use to make the decisions is they'll look at your mission and key programming and see if that meets the criteria and priorities of the fund. So the general support, you do the application a tiny bit different, and there are sort of prompts within the application that will help you, guide you through that. But really the focus would be on the mission. So the way you fill out the budget page will be different. It'll just be for the max award, 7,500, and you won't have to break out, you know, what the sub request is. So the reason that we offer the general support now is that we know that unrestricted funding allows organizations to use the funding where it's most needed. And so these organizations, so you all can react, you know, most quickly and respond quickly to things on the ground as it's most needed. All right. And if folks have any questions about that, you know, we can answer those too. So our competitive grant programs all have advisors. And so that is who make these grant decisions in the end. I don't make decisions, but I work with the advisors to work with them through that process and give them training on best practices, et cetera. Again, the general support will focus on the mission of the organization. All right. Let me go back to that one. So, you know, some things that the equity fund cannot fund are general to all our competitive grant programs, and they're listed on this page. You know, each foundation will have sort of their own list of things that they can't fund. Some are universal, but for us, it's the things on this page. And our website has a lot of information on that as well. So here's the timeline for what it looks like when you send a proposal into the Maine Community Foundation. So you'll submit it online by September 15th. You will have, there'll be a period of time where our grant staff review the applications and make sure that it's complete. You know, if you are using a fiscal sponsor, because that is an option at the Maine Community Foundation, we don't require that applicants have that 501c3 tax status. So organizations can definitely find a fiscal sponsor as long as they have a board as well. And there's a one-page sheet on the website you can find for that. So the grant staff are checking to make sure all of those things are completed. And then if all those things are completed, the application is complete, then I will get access to the grants and we send them out to the reviewers. So for a period of a couple weeks, the reviewers are reading your proposals. And some tips to what make a proposal to me really good is a proposal that brings either that organization's mission to life or that project to life. If it's a project request or a capacity building request, you know, as many details as you can fit in terms of what your goals and objectives are going to be. You know, why do you want to do that? You know, why do you want to do strategic planning for your organization? And sort of a flow of time. So projects that come to life or a mission that comes to life so that the advisors can say, oh, you know, this is going to happen. You know, this organization is meeting a very important need, or that project is meeting a very important need. You know, those are the proposals that most often get funded. And also note that very good proposals and organizations won't get funded. So if you do not get funded by the Equity Fund, please apply again the next year. And yeah. Another tip is for proposal writers, because I know a lot of our organizations are smaller grassroots organizations, you know, that don't have professional grant writers. I think that's the majority of our applicants at the Maine Community Foundation. is to have somebody else read over your proposal. They'll often catch different things, just to improve on the quality and readability of that application. But we are very aware that many grassroots organizations, this could be maybe the first proposal they've ever written. So, we try to do a phone call to each of the applicants as well to the advisors do to help hear about a project in that person's own words. That helps also bring that project to life. So then in late October, I'll have a decision meeting, what we call a decision meeting with the advisors where the decisions will be made. And then in early November, you will have decisions mailed. If you have been awarded a grant, that letter will have a grant check right in there. And if you have not, then it'll be a decline letter. And here's a couple screenshots of how to get onto our application portal. You'll see where the number 1, the yellow bar top upper right is circled in red. You click on that and that says apply. And then you'll go to that second screen and you'll see apply now, apply here. You'll set up a password and account. So you'll have an email address and then you'll get to choose your password and you'll see that third screen there. It'll say log in. And if you forget your password, no big deal. You can reset your password by yourself anytime. We don't have to help you with that. So it's fairly simple, it's technology, so stuff happens, but we do have staff that can help with any sort of glitches. I think that's everything. So I am able to take any questions, and thank you so much for joining us today. And this is the 25th year of the Equity Fund, and we are so happy that our board decided to start this Equity Fund 25 years ago. Meets a really huge unmet need in the state.
Great, thank you so much, Gloria. So we do have one question from Julie, and she's asking, do you need to be an LGBTQ-based organization to apply, or as long as the project serves LGBTQ, can we still be eligible to apply?
Right, so you would be on the third bullet. Most of the participants are intended recipients, would make you eligible to apply. It would be ideal if there was, you'd have to describe why your organization is interested in serving this community. The fund is really created to serve the unmet needs. So, for example, there are some healthcare organizations that have been funded that have provided trans healthcare. And those services have been really, really needed. So, the advisors would look at the role and the intent of the organization. Do they have some management? What is their connection to the community? That's very important. Very, very important.
Great, thank you, Gloria. The next question is, if you're declined for the Equity Fund, can you resubmit to the Community Building Fund in February?
Absolutely. And check in with that Community Building website, because this year the projects were directed specifically to be COVID related. So I'm not sure what's going to happen for next year. Actually, Leslie probably, because I think, well, Leslie might know, but if not, check. Leslie, do you know?
So I think they're still working on it, and we'll definitely have something posted to the website by mid-November with an update about the criteria and priorities.
Okay, great. So definitely check back to that Community Building to make sure, just like with any grant program, any funder you apply to, you want to meet their criteria and actually, use that terminology, etc. So check back with that. And yes, you can apply absolutely to both. They're totally different dates. So that'll be February 15th. And if I have any BIPOC-led organizations on the line here, you can also apply to the BIPOC grant program. But that is specifically for BIPOC-led organizations, and that due date is February 15th as well.
Thanks, Gloria. The next question is, what percentages generally across the awards for capacity building, project-based, or general operating applications? And I don't have those stats in front of me, but I could pull them and send them out to you guys of how many capacity building applications we got, how many project applications, and how many operating, and then what those awards look like. Unless you have them, Gloria, but.
I do not have them. So is the question, how many people who apply for capacity building or awarded capacity building?
I think so. I think it's,
Okay.
I think she's trying to see how many of each type of applications we get and then what the awards are.
Okay,
How many are awarded.
I see.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I'll pull that information and send that around.
yeah. I think that would, there'd be a lot of variables that would go in there. So, you know, this is a statewide fund. So we try to, you know, meet a statewide need. So if we had all applications from one area of the state, for example, that would be hard. And we only had one from a different area of the state, and it met project criteria and priorities. That one area of the state that only had one project would probably be funded. So there's a lot of different factors at play there, not just the type of application, you know, what type of grant is being applied for.
Great, thank you, Gloria. If anyone else has any other questions, they can feel free to drop them into the Q&A. There's nothing else at the moment, but we'll give people a few more minutes.
And staff, you know, I'm definitely available to talk to if you have questions. I can't review anything written, but I can talk through any ideas you have as well.
Thanks, Gloria. The next question says, in the past, awards have focused on more direct services. Is that shifting?
Direct services. So direct services would be, I guess, a project. And so we've always had project and capacity building. And now we're in adding general support. I think, you know, what I would say to that question is the reason we have these, this grant program and are offering general support is that we recognize that you all know what's needed best. You are serving the needs of this community. So it's really what you think is most important as to what will get funded. And the general support request kind of gets around that entirely and saying, you get to choose at, you know, 100% what the grant funds will be used for. Did that answer the question, you think, Leslie?
Yeah, I think so. And we don't have any more questions right now. We'll give people a few more minutes. Well, I think if no one else has questions, we could probably wrap up. We're about 25 minutes in, so, and like Gloria said, we'll post this online and we'll send around the slides to everyone. Oh, sorry, one more question just came through. says, as a follow-up, I think to your last question, Gloria, oftentimes projects that are specific and provide, for example, transgender healthcare services are more attractive. Would you say this is shifting?
I don't think I would say that. I think it's really, what the needs of the community are and how that's sort of phrased. So again, the the best, a project that comes to life, that's definitely a need. But I think there are a lot of other important needs too. And it's sort of how the application speaks to that will help impact the decision.
Great, thanks, Gloria.
Yeah, so please look at the website for our other competitive grant programs. Some are very specific, like historic preservation, but you could be in a historic building. I don't know. So, there could be other grant programs that could apply to you. So definitely peruse our other grant programs as well. But you all definitely can apply to community building because that's open, to all organizations and it's by geography. And there'll be an info session for community building at some point before February, probably like January or something, I'm guessing. But
yeah, it should be in December or January.
Probably December. Okay.
Yeah, one of those. All right. Well, no more questions have come in, so I think we're good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. You're meeting the needs of a wonderful population, and services that are dedicated and specific are really wonderful. So appreciative to all of you with providing those services, especially with COVID, with the pandemic. I know needs have increased across the board. So very grateful to all of you. Thank you for your incredible work.